You'll never be short of things to do in Edinburgh. Whether you're interested in witchcraft, royalty or writers, there are plenty of must-see attractions in Edinburgh. Of course, there are plenty of historic sites, from the castle on its craggy cliff to the distinctly spooky Greyfriars Kirkyard. However, there's plenty else for science lovers alike, as well as excellent collections of modern art. Put on some comfy shoes and get ready to walk the hills and cobbles of the Scottish capital. Edinburgh's Old Town is a labyrinth of cobbled streets, narrow alleys and hidden courtyards, all incredibly well preserved and steeped in the city's history. Although only around a mile long and 400 yards wide, it represented the full extent of the twin boroughs of Edinburgh and Canongate for the first 650 years of their existence, and its overall appearance and character remains undeniably medieval. It contains most of the city's most famous sites and is by far the best starting point for your exploration of the city. St. Giles Cathedral is the original parish church of medieval Edinburgh, from where John Knox launched and led the Scottish Reformation. It is dedicated to the city's patron saint and protector of cripples and lepers. The vaulted ceilings, intricate woodwork and stained glass windows of the 15th century structure are truly astonishing. Outside the western gate, look for the Heart of Midlothian. A local, somewhat disgusting tradition says that spitting into it brings good luck. The Royal Mile is an architectural feast of styles, from stately masonry dwellings and merchants' houses to grand post-16th century buildings with sandstone structures built on medieval foundations and often resulting in underground vaults and lockups. The mighty fortress of Edinburgh Castle towers over the city on a rock formed as a result of millennia of glacial erosion. The history of Edinburgh, and indeed Scotland, is intimately linked to its castle, which dominates the city. A guided tour is an excellent way to explore the best of this complex of buildings and its history of monarchs, sieges and battles. The disparate styles of the fortifications reflect the change in its role from defensive citadel to national monument, and today, as well as attracting more visitors than anywhere else in the country, the castle remains a military headquarters and home to the crown jewels of Scotland. Victoria Street in the Old Town has to be one of the most photographed places in the city. Its curvature and colorful shop fronts make it a favorite spot for tourist photos, magazines and TV adverts. Victoria Street was built between 1829 and 1834 as part of a series of improvements to the Old Town, aimed at improving access to the city. The new street was planned to demolish much of the old West Bow and provide a wide link to the newly built George IV Bridge. The rocky peak of Arthur's Seat, sculpted by layers of ice and deeply eroded by a long-extinct volcano, is a distinctive feature of Edinburgh's skyline. It is well worth the hike up to enjoy the view from the summit, stretching from the Forth Bridges in the west to the distant conical hill of North Berwick Law in the east, with the Ochil Hills and Highlands on the northwest horizon. You can walk from Holyrood to the summit in about 45 minutes. Calton Hill and the National Monument are situated in the centre of Edinburgh, to the east of the new town. Edinburgh's enduring label as the Athens of the North is nowhere better earned than on Calton Hill, the volcanic crag that towers over the eastern end of Princes Street. An UNESCO World Heritage Site, Calton Hill has some of the best views of the city, and if you get up early, you'll also catch the best sunrises. It's also home to some iconic Scottish landmarks and buildings, including the National Monument, the Old Royal High School, the Robert Burns Monument and also the City Observatory. This must-see Edinburgh Museum comprises two contrasting but complementary buildings, one a Victorian palace made of wrought iron and glass and the other a modern sandstone fortress with an impressive circular tower. Inside, the sheer number of exhibits is enough to occupy days of your time, but as entry is free, you can come and go as you please. With everything from Dolly the clone sheep to a fashion gallery and extensive displays on world cultures, it's hard to know where to begin a visit to this excellent museum. The initial plan for Edinburgh's new town was approved by the City Council in 1767 and is the largest completed example of Georgian period town planning anywhere in the world. Its mix of classical architecture, grand squares and terraces, gardens and secluded lanes means that a stroll through its streets is a journey back in time to an age of elegance. Originally intended for the entire area to be residential, right down to its street names, is regarded as a proud development in Scotland's history. Today, the main streets form the bustling center of the city's commercial, retail and business life, dominated by shops, banks and office buildings. A stroll through Princes Street Gardens is also a must-do activity for visitors. The gardens, divided into east and west sections, were originally the private domain of Princes Street residents and their acquaintances until it was turned into a public park in 1876. On sunny days, local office workers turn out in droves at lunchtime, while, in the run-up to Christmas, the eastern section of the gardens is home to a German market, a towering Ferris wheel, illuminated walkways and a host of other highly attractive sights. The name Princes Street is synonymous with Edinburgh, but its architecture is often overlooked by city residents. In fact, most of its buildings are now registered as historic, and among the modern shops there are some real treasures. Princes Street began as a residential street with the first inhabitants moving in during the 1770s. Many of the original houses still exist, although they are now often well hidden away. In the original plan for the new town, Princes Street was only assigned a subsidiary role, but by then, in the mid-19th century, this street had already become Edinburgh's main thoroughfare, a role it has retained ever since. With an abundance of history, top-quality attractions and beautiful architecture, Edinburgh is a city you'll never forget. Edinburgh is a compact city that makes it easy to explore, from unforgettable world-class historical sites and wonderful festivals to fantastic shopping and delicious food. Whether you're short on time and can only fit in a weekend getaway, or you can visit Edinburgh as part of a longer holiday in Scotland, you'll always have plenty of options to enjoy this magnificent city.